So
you have a story.
I do have a story. Well, because we're talking about housing again today. This is like part 3, part 4 of whatever us.
Part 4 of my life.
Yeah, part 4 of Nick's gonna give you an update on
such a very loud eye roll.
We're so back.
Yeah,
We're so back.
Oh no! Oh my god! Yeah. So this is we're talking about housing, which means it's a Nick apartment update.
Yeah.
We need to have like a song for this at this point because I've given so many of these
a
little jingle of just like, oh my god, because my house is a fucking shithole.
This is not a real police siren.
Yeah.
If you're driving, it's fine.
Yeah, you are. That was not a real bomb going off. You're just watching Oppenheimer. Yeah. So for the listeners who do not know, my house is a shithole. Thank you to my House of Haltung and the people who own my building, who are the same people. It used to be a former Akelios building. For those. Oh yeah, thank you. The plumber said the same thing when he came in to look at my place. Like, was this one of those Akelios buildings? I was like, yep. He was like, ugh. Yeah. When the plumber, when a guy who literally has to handle things that like deal with shit and like gray water and black water isn't saying that you're a part. He gives you the face for your house. You know that you have a bad house. You have a bad apartment. Yeah. So, I've been having a legal battle back and forth with my slash property manager slash owner of the building. They're the exact same thing. Mega landlords. Let's go, baby. And I had my apartment flooded. I removed then the floor as according to what the plumber told me, and then underneath it I found icky, nasty stuff underneath the floor that was very, very horrible and smells very bad and should be replaced. The property manager agreed that they would replace it, and it's been now 8 months of back and forth. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's been almost a year. And so
time flies.
Time flies when you're having fun with your friends living in an apartment that might be killing you. So I have my floor all taped down, this and that and that. I ended up then going to the Berliner Mietverein, so like the renters.
Well done.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I've learned. And they started like a legal case against them. Pretty much said, "Hey, fix this or else," and the or else is we will sue you. So then I get a very angry call from the handyman that they use for the building, and he's like, okay, what's wrong with your thing, this and that and that. I'm like, if you don't know, it's all in my file. I've complained 1,000 times over. So he's like, okay, well, I'm on vacation until the end of the middle of July, so I'll come by in the middle of July, which was the 17th. He came by, and I'm like, okay, wrote in my calendar, 10 o'clock in the morning. Guy comes to my place with nothing with him, and I'm like, all right, already off to a great start. Just vibes. And he had a scanner for moisture, a detector to see if there was water damage, which had been already scanned 3 times. All right, again, if he could just read through the entire file, which was then sent to him by me and by the lawyer, it would have been fine. But no. Comes with just a scanner in hand and a mouthful of some dumb fucking opinions of his. Proceeds to then give me a lecture in housing law and in economics. And then I just proceed to then say, are you going to fix my place or not? Now, if you're not going to do if you're not going to schedule an appointment with me to come by and actually get this done, then please get the fuck out of my house. Then proceeds just to leave. I kicked him out of my house.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so then I called up the House of Haltung, or the property management company. I was like, don't ever do that again. Please do not send someone over to give me, a person who studied economics, and a entirely wrong lecture, by the way, of how markets function. Motherfucker did not know how markets function, because he's just like, well, if you're spending about 1,000 euros, then we care. I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works. And then he was like, well, I don't need to be getting love letters from the Mietverein. I'm like, yeah, you do. Because if you're not going to come here and do your fucking job, then I'm just going to keep sending, they're going to keep doing their job, which is to piss you off and fix this fucking thing. Yeah. So, update. Nothing happened.
Oh my god.
I literally called the House of Haltung one more time, and I was like, either you're going to fix this or I am taking you just straight up to court. There's no other things. I already wrote to the Mietverein. I wrote them in the sense that the Handwerker came by did nothing but give me a lecture in economics and housing law. And then the housing law thing too, he was completely wrong about as well. He's like, oh, well, and even though he's always do this like mansplainy sort of thing of like, well, I don't know what your thing is. And then would then proceed to tell me what he thought it was.
Yeah,
He's like, I don't know what your contract is, but, and then dumb boy opinion that was all wrong. Or like, I don't know what this is. And then dumb opinion about the economy that was just like, he's like, well, if you knew how markets work, and I just stopped there. I'm like, we're not talking about markets. You're fixing my floor.
It's so
I
stupid.
have a question that I feel like sets the tone of this whole conversation.
Was he wearing capris? Yes.
Well, another one. Was your giant portrait of Lenin up on the wall?
I took it down.
Oh.
I should have left it up.
I feel like you should have halfway through the conversation put that back on the wall.
No. I put
You're
it.
just like,
I should have.
hold
No.
that
We'll talk
So,
markets, dude.
When I like, because I've had very mixed things when like Handwerker come by and Lenin's on the wall.
Yes.
For,
Yeah, but
shout
I
out
would
to
assume so.
Pauli from Hölle from getting that for me for my birthday years ago.
I love when you're just from East Germany and they're just like lying around on the street. The street is paved.
Literally, that is like literally like that they were cleaning out a warehouse and it was in one of those buildings and he was just like, yeah, Nick would like this. And he was right. Like I did like it. But I've had a Polish Handwerker come by and he's like, this rocks. Yeah. He's like, is this yours? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, awesome.
You're like
I've
shaking.
I've had other people come by and be like, haha, that's funny. I've had other people come by and they're like, why is this on your wall? I'm like, it's a long story. I don't want to get into it. And then I have to I just gotten into the habit now of take it down. I'm going to avoid I should have left it up though. You're right.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, God.
Well, the move. I understand you taking it down. The move is to bring it back up halfway through the conversation.
When he starts talking about markets, just be like, oh, nope, not dealing with that bullshit.
Just be like, oh yeah, don't worry, I'm listening. I just have to do something real quick.
Yeah. So great to be back with you guys. I'm feeling great. You guys, everyone actually was like kind of on vacation here too, which was a vibe.
Home.
So.
You were in a
You weren't really on
work
vacation,
retreat.
but-
I was on work stuff, but it was nice. I'm not gonna lie, but we're gonna save that for the bonus episode for Catalonia/Romania update. The only way to get news about Romania is to ask Kieran what happened while he was there for 4 days. Hey, welcome to your weekly corner, Späti. It's me, Kieran. I'm joined by Uma,
Hi.
Nick,
Hey.
and a special guest from the right to the city, Berta. Hello, Berta.
Hey, hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
How was your holiday? Did you go to Romania?
No.
You should. It's great.
I have to go to... You'd have to go on holiday.
Yeah, another
It's
time.
coming.
Oh yeah, and as Nick has said, we are talking about housing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How to the episode's actually just about how to get Nick a better apartment.
Yeah, actually, we're gonna
Yes.
figure it out.
Yeah,
Uma, lock the door. No one leaves.
no one leaves until I have like
Emo Scout up on a big screen.
oh God, we're here for 2 weeks just locked in here and we all die because
Oh no, this place is too hot.
no,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, no.
2 weeks, no, what am I talking about? Like 14 hours, I think we would just like collapse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I can spend more than 3 hours in this place.
I keep getting thirsty.
Have you seen the floors?
The floors are great.
Oh, shut up. Shut up about
Oh,
floors.
sorry.
At least there are floors.
I don't know what Uma's talking
I am
about.
so
We podcast
sorry.
from a big pile of money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Uma means where are the floors? As in that there's too much money laying
Too
around.
much. All euro,
Yeah.
baby. It's all purple and yellow. You forgot
Yeah.
what color the 200 euro note didn't you? No one sees one anymore.
Oh yeah, true.
Yellow.
Wait, what's the yellow one?
200.
200?
Piss yellow.
Yellow?
Yeah.
Ew.
No one sees them. I got paid once with one of those and I was like, it's yellow?
That is horrible.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're talking housing, we're talking cities, we're talking how apparently, I saw a billboard the other day before we just like to get us into the mood of how, because I know that this question's obviously going to come up from not from us, but of course we'll bring it up in the sense of why this is not a solution. Have you guys seen the ads around town of move to Lutherstadt Wittenberg?
Boo.
Yeah, boo is right. You move to a
I heard it's the new Lisbon.
Where even is it?
Well, exactly.
Well, yeah, first of all, yeah.
It's clearly on the map.
somewhere,
Yeah,
apparently.
It's like, according to the ad, it is 30 minutes outside of Berlin, like that way, like further, further southeast, further west of like Kleinmachnow. If you go further that direction, you'll end up in Lutherstadt-Wittenberg. Now I know, you could move to Lisbon, you could move to wherever else where then, you'll be rightfully, hated, but or you could move to there where there's nothing to do except for probably just shrines everywhere to Martin Luther and live there, I guess, and do nothing. Like literally do fuck all.
Do they pay you to move there? Like
no,
the north of
no,
France?
no. Of course not. No, that would be silly. There and there's just like the thing of like, oh, how high is your rent too high in Berlin? Move to a city no one wants to move to.
We have no real solution to this.
These ads are paid for by the city of Lutherstadt-Wittenberg.
Oh my.
It's very desperate. We will obviously get into the sense of why this is stupid later because cities are cool, and if I want to live in a city, I should be able to.
Yeah.
But furthermore, update of, because we were saying housing, and Berlin got a little radical a few years ago. I think that the last time we talked about it was before the election. No, right?
Yes. Couldn't tell you.
Which election? For Berlin is now a question.
The real one. Not
real
the
election.
fucking coup that the CDU pulled.
Exactly.
So I don't think we did talk about this since 2021 in September, the Superwahl. Other than I think us mentioning that it passed, and that's great. Woo.
Yes.
Klaxon noise. I'm kind of curious what's happened since then.
Yes. So, what's happened since then? Like, first, just to mention, the campaign I'm part from is called Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen, which means expropriate Deutsche Wohnen Co, meaning all the big profit-oriented landlords. And in our proposal, what we want to expropriate are all of these big corporate landlords that are profit-oriented and then owns more than 3,000 apartments in the city.
Yes.
And included is Adler, Vonovia, Achelius, Heimstaden, all of this.
All of you are on.
You're on notice.
Yeah,
I know you love listening to this podcast.
Yes, all of you listening to this part, so just be aware we're coming.
It's on site.
Yes, and also it's interesting because Deutsche Wohnen actually now was bought by Vonovia, so now Deutsche Wohnen doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, they did that during the campaign, and I thought
exactly.
they're just trying to fuck with the campaign. They're trying to make us look stupid.
But now DWE is so good.
How can you add something that doesn't exist anymore?
Some Swedish fuck from nowhere.
Yeah, which is like also like a sign. Yeah, it's also like a sign how fast their business goes and how slow our business goes. Just like a little bit of a downer because in terms of like it's already 2 years later, kind of, and we didn't expropriate so far. Otherwise, you would have better condition in your house. Maybe it takes a little bit more, but there will be one tangible thing that will happen. So, but why is this not happening like immediately? Is because we need a law to expropriate. Like the referendum was successful, as you said. 59.1% of the people who have the right to vote voted yes for this. It's a radical proposal, but kind of it was a proposal, and it is a proposal that is very much needed from the people. And but then what happened in the Megawahl? We had like the government, red, green, SPD, Linke, Grüne, and the SPD was on top of it, like the major, like the Bürgermeisterin Franziska Giffey was like the Bürgermeisterin, and they said, okay, instead of just like making a law and implement the referendum, we're gonna have an expert commission. So we're gonna call the experts in to say very good things about this and to prove if this is doable, which we kind of say it's doable because otherwise you can't propose something that is not doable with a referendum and in a democratic process, but they wanted to be sure. So that happened, and the commission started in April 22 and ended up recently, like in the end of July. And who the commission said is possible and is doable and is also financeable, the project. So we can make it look at more into that later, because we had a surprise in the middle. We had new election because of the marathon. Probably you talk about this. Whatever that is. And so in the new election, the SPD had the chance to stay in the government with Green and Linke, but they decided to just like go with the CDU, because why not? But also because probably they have more together than the other one, and especially what they have in common with being friends with the IMO lobby. And when you see like where do these parties take money, then probably they both take money from people who build houses in the house and who don't want to have something like the expropriation happening. But we are the majority. We want the expropriation to happen, so it's also going to happen.
Yeah, the other, as much as I hate the fucking fake horrible vote that we had, because I don't think I've ever really expressed this, but like German state and federal elections have had greater irregularities than the one that the 2021 Berlin election had, and didn't call new elections.
Oh yeah, the new election also had irregularities in it that were the same as the old ones. Yeah, which is just the most. But it's just the thing that then I believe it was the CDU who brought up the complaint, the first irregularities, and they're like,
then the FTB.
Yeah, they're like, oh, why did this happen? And then it was also the hilarious thing is that then most of the irregularities are in districts that they won. Too, like in like Pankow and stuff like that, like way up in like northeast.
Everything about the
Berlin.
CDU in Berlin is just kind of don't look at us too closely.
Oh yeah, where they send out the like the mail that they do to trick people. Have you seen that? Where they have all these. The CDU Berlin sends out mail that looks like official like letters from the city of Berlin, and it says vote CDU or whatever, but it's to trick. It's like to trick old people who don't know.
Illegal?
It is incredibly illegal, but no one does anything because like
my God.
you know.
The CDU is sending out letters being like, I am a Nigerian prince.
Yeah,
Please
pretty much.
wire me €2,000. Yeah. Oh my God. But like even just the whole like we're the steady hand of the economy, even though like they're the party that bankrupted this city in the 2000s. So whatever. But the silver lining of that new election, as much as I don't like it, and adds to the point of like the whole referendum was a good idea.
We're getting more parking spaces now.
I'm legally allowed to fuck my car. That's what they want. The FTP ate shit in that last election. They didn't make the 3% threshold. They're no longer in the Berlin government. And Sebastian Scheier ran that campaign purely on trying to turn the no vote of the like Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen into like a political movement. But he like
True.
Yeah. But the thing I think he totally misunderstood about
Is that Photoshop exists and people were just dunking on him.
Oh, constantly, yeah. The one thing I think that proved, though, was that everyone who voted no against that referendum in 2021 did so because they thought it was impossible more than they hate the idea. Like, him losing kind of proves that no one really, really hates the idea. Like, if it hasn't been turned into a culture war like he thought it should be. That like, oh, they're trying to make renting woke or something.
Yeah, well, even like people, I mean, this is just, you know, me giving my 2 cents of like people in Germany, like Germany's very weird, where even like the like most like battle-hardened CDU person will then still defend the concept of like the Sozialmarktwirtschaft, which then something like expropriation fits into perfectly fine. There's not like it's not like the thing that's so impressive about that 59.1. I'm going to round it up and say almost 60%.
Yes, please.
Is that then that's something that then really can kind of get into the psyche of like the idea of like, well, you see, this is social democracy, but in like a very broad sense, where even like conservative members of society would be like, oh yeah, no, people should be like granted affordable housing. Like, there's nothing like that's a modern American transformation of conservatism from like the 70s and 80s, where it became more like market oriented. But that's not really like a party like the FDP doesn't really do much more than their like 5-6%. Like the reason why they were so popular in the last federal election was because of like COVID and like Twitch streamers.
Yes.
You know, and like their youth vote, which was psychotic.
Yeah, every Twitch streamer
who like made money from Pokemon cards voted.
Yeah, that one guy who
FDP.
made money by like financializing Pokemon cards. Yeah,
exactly. Like it's
What?
yes,
I'm so sorry
completely
to spring this
serious.
on you, Uma.
Yeah, a bunch of Twitch streamers
This
in
happens
Germany.
all the time. You guys know the most niche things, and then I'm like,
So-
excuse me, what? Did
We've
you
talked
just
about
say?
this with like Twitch streamers and YouTubers in Spain, how they all kind of like at a
Oh,
certain
they're
point.
all fascist.
Yeah, but they also all at a certain point fuck off to Andorra
Yeah, to not pay taxes.
to not pay taxes. Yeah, every Twitch streamer and YouTuber in Germany kind of tends towards FTP voter because they're all self-employed and they were up until a certain point just getting money from Google or Amazon like tax-free,
Yeah.
and then suddenly they have to pay taxes and they're like, oh my god, I hate taxes.
Yeah,
Yeah, so they're all like the same person.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just- yeah.
how?
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you're from. Like if you're a Twitch streamer.
We're all the same in a really
Yeah.
horrible way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but that type of like libertarian sort of like or like free market thing even in the housing market, something that then I feel is like not popular amongst
Yeah.
even like conservatives in Germany. I mean, depending on that, there are obviously, of course, different wings of the CDU, of course, and the SPD is like a weird party as well too, where like even within their party they were split on the Enteignung debate.
Yeah, well, actually, no. They have even a Beschlussvotum, which is like a vote of the majority of the party said
Yeah.
at the beginning. They said the more than the 50% of the SPD said if the commission say yes, then also the party says yes. Which now everybody's on holiday, but but actually this is what I am expecting because the SPD is still still at the government at the moment. So actually, the people of the SPD at the moment should said, hey, the Access Commission say yes, so we're gonna do it because we
hell
said we're
yeah.
gonna do this. That's a party. I mean, I don't believe that because
I don't
they.
either.
I think they're going to try and make that holiday real long.
Yeah, yes. No, because they also had at the contra proposal at the moment, which is this Rahmengesetz. It's like Vergesellschaftungsrahmengesetz. What they say in the new coalition, they say that they will do a law that it's a framework law for the Vergesellschaftung, which is the socialization, which is what we want because what we propose also. No, it's actually what we want. We don't only propose that we expropriate and then we socialize in terms of like that we take control over our houses and we try to administrate them with democratic participation with tenants. How do you say rat councils,
Yeah.
councils
Yeah.
of tenant councils, and all this kind of structure, so that we can also how do you say selbstbestimmen.
Self-organized?
Self-organized,
Yeah, it'd be like
yeah.
self-organized.
Yeah,
It'd be
because in a certain way, it's. I think there's also a debate about knowledge. It looks like, I mean, you were talking about somebody come to your house and giving a lesson about how you should do that
Yeah,
or
buddy.
how
Wrong
the
guy to do
system
that
works.
too.
Yeah, and it's something that it's horrible to me because it's like also to many people, but looks like. Oh no, we don't have, especially if you're a migrant and if you came to Germany at some point, you still feel like I don't have enough knowledge, I don't know how this works, I don't know if I have to go to the Mieterverein, blah, blah. But being a tenant is enough to engage in
Yeah.
struggles. It's more than enough. It gives you a lot of knowledge because it's the experience that you have. And this is also the starting point for myself and for other people to also join the campaign and say, okay, Berlin is getting crazy and it needs to change. And I also would like to say that we always tend to say that it's a housing crisis and stuff, and we forget that we are tenants and it's not about our houses, it's about our right to live, and we are people. So what if we start, even in this liberal market-oriented thing, they're still talking about assets and making more money out of houses and this kind of stuff, and that's the huge problem. So what we want to do here is not only expropriate corporate landlords, but we also want to try to change the frame of the discourse in which we talk about housing, especially in cities that are super populated and there is space for all. It's just not shared equally.
Yeah. There I mean, like Berlin's a perfect example of this too, of that then it's like you can speculate all, like the thing that's actually so kind of funny in the sense of like, yeah, you can do what has been happening in this city for the last decade of hyper speculation. And if no one can afford to live there, you know, if no one can pay their rents, and then all these landlords having these just like, I mean, not even just to mention the empty buildings that Berlin has everywhere. Just sitting, just literally illegally sitting on properties, this and that, whatever. But then now is like, okay, first off, the real estate market is like in free fall currently in Berlin, and then rentals are going to also probably, follow with that as well. But who are you trying to attract in a city that then where like the median wage is like, I think like 20 or 30,000 euros a year or something like that? Like, and you're expecting the guy who came up to my house was like, oh, well, if you're not like for my apartment is 33 square meters and was telling me that I should be spending over $1,000 for it. Yeah. And I'm just like, no, absolutely not. First off. And who do you think, what imaginary person do you think is going to come in here and live in this shithole, this 33 square meter house for the price of something in like, I don't know, like Los Angeles? Like even LA prices aren't that insane. Like it's just like, first off, fictitious bullshit idea of what he ever thought. I mean, lecturing me about markets, had no clue of what actual prices were. But then also the sense of like, that tenant doesn't actually exist. Where you see these rents of like, oh, studio apartment in Berlin for 1,200 euros. That's like, okay, yeah, you have people who are like working remote, who work for an American company, this and that. But if they can work anywhere in the world and rents are going to get higher, they can move.
Off to
they
Lisbon
fuck off.
Last year,
And is that the type of person?
Barcelona.
Yeah, is that the type of person?
Lisbon also has a campaign soon.
Yeah,
they're collecting
absolutely.
signatures.
Yeah, get them.
But like, and the whole of Spain passed that whole like digital nomad law this year that has made it like really easy to work remotely from Spain in terms
Don't even.
I'm so sorry.
Portugal got rid of theirs. Portugal got rid of the golden passport this year.
Oh, no, that's a completely different thing.
No, but it also has to do with the sense of
golden passport things are vile.
Yeah. But because a lot of people were doing that in Lisbon, where they come, oh, everything's so cheap, and people are like, you're ruining the entire economy in this country. But like Berlin, luckily somehow, I mean, has been given these people have come here. They've, but not entirely messed up prices and, livability in the city. But why do they get more of a right to then an apartment that, again, is...
Yeah, but taking it even a step forward, why do Vonovia and Deutsche Wohnen get more right to exist than us? That's the problem. And I think there is some risk when we say, I mean... Yes, there are people, you said before, who can afford that. There is somebody who can afford, because we don't live in an equal society. So there are people who have more money, maybe do the same job. But if you are employed from a Denmark company instead from a Greek one, probably, let's say, your salary is different. So there are people who can afford, but also these people are not the responsible of the gentrification thing. Still, the responsible are the people who speculate on the houses and on the prices.
Yeah. I think Berlin is actually a very good example of that, because like, charging over 1,000 to live in like a 1-bedroom apartment is the kind of shit that like New York and London pulls off, that like gets away with, because it's New York and London, and there's just like, those are two cities in two different countries where if you can't work there, fuck off and die. Especially with certain industries, it's like hyper centralized. But Berlin doesn't have that yet. Like. What's that joke that Nathan Ma made on Twitter of just like every city in Germany is Milwaukee? It's like there is no like Berlin is like the New York and Hamburg is the Los Angeles. Like no, everywhere is like Cincinnati. It's just like a mid-sized American city, and if you don't like this one, there's like 12 other to pick from.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, every German city. I mean, German cities are also just like very hyper focused on the sense of like there's the one company in town, everyone works here.
Well, that's your like your like Autostadt, Wolfsburg, or what's that city? What's that city that like fucking. Adidas and Puma, like basically.
I don't know the names of it, but it's just in the middle of like
they're all in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, near like Nuremberg.
It's really got the energy of some guy who was bullied in school, being like, "Well, I'll show you." He makes a giant company and comes back and employs all his bullies to clean his toilets or whatever the fuck. Even though he came from like a town that's main industry was like chicken sexing.
Chicken what?
It's a very highly paid profession. If you're a person who can tell based on like a very young chicken which sex they are, you can make mad money. And they do it really quickly as well. They're just like guy, girl. And you can see them on assembly line of just chicks coming in. There's like, guy, girl, guy. Because you have to know, it's the whole industry. We're after the eggs. You have to know which one's which. I'm not going to lie to you. Half of those baby male chicks are dying. Because you don't need that many.
I didn't need to know that.
I come from an agrarian society.
Yeah, your Ireland is showing.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I didn't even know what a chicken
I didn't know that was
sexter
a
is.
thing.
What?
Oh yeah, you can make so much money. You can make
Oh goodness! Back to the cities.
back to the city.
Back to the city.
Skeptic.
I can get back to the
Get
city.
us out of it.
Yes,
Get
yes,
us out of this.
yes.
Out of this fucking cowboy.
Yes,
like,
I get it. I got it. So you were saying, I try, yeah?
Yeah.
You were saying comparison with other city. That's the point, and that's also why Berlin could also do things different, and that's also the reason why they should. And the thing is also, when you have, imagine your house, 33 quadrat meters is going...
I don't want to.
No, sorry, just a small house. The thing is that the amount you pay is not even giving you good...
No.
Good... A better
They
house,
should pay
you
me
know?
money for living
because
there.
the people who these companies, they don't really care about you living.
Yeah.
They just care about their action and assets on the market and so and this is too much for everyone. And look at this, the government of Berlin has a way to intervene in that, and this is the law that they still need to write according to what we propose, and also about the commission, because I want to tell you two things about this commission that it's interesting. They were saying also, if it's okay for you, of course.
Oh no, absolutely. Yes.
That
I was
actually, they were
I was
saying,
about to ask what
so
did
they
say?
basically they say things that actually we knew, but they confirm that. And actually, imagine that it's like, I think that it's like a little bit, they call this to go let's say what the experts do. And it was not so sure they will be so good for us and so in favor, but it means that we did such a good work before to use Article 15 in this way and the stuff that they actually basically confirmed the majority of the points in our proposal. So what they're saying is that Berlin is able and has the competencies is English, the competencies to do this. So it's not going to collapse with the Bundesebene, because we're in federalism. And what happened with the Mietendeckel, for example, was that Berlin made a law that was 6 months was active, and then the Bundesebene said, not even say the law is bad, they just said it's not in your competences, so it's actually only the Bundesebene can do that, and so that is not longer on this law, which was the April 21, and that was a moment where also in our campaign we got a lot of hope and a lot of new people, because it looked like, okay, if the Mietendeckel doesn't work, then expropriation is the only way we have. And this is also what they say. The commission said that there is no other better way to impact on the landscape of the rent in Berlin than doing the expropriation and this Vergesellschaftung, which is great. And that also that the Article 15 is correctly in use if we propose that. And they also say, this is interesting, that we said that we want to expropriate all big landlords that have 3,000 apartments, which is a number that can be, but I also say we could also do differently and just take all the ones that are profit oriented, so that in there, when you go and see how is the society, if they are on the börsennotierten oder Aktien Unternehmen.
If they're traded on the stock market, yeah.
Exactly. So all of this, so which means that we could also take private equity and funds and all these kind of things that maybe are not, even if they don't have 3,000, we could also expropriate them. So that's a very good possibility, because that makes even better than what we said. And of course, on the other side, what they didn't do in this commission, they didn't decide precisely on how do we gonna do, how is this really concretely possible. So the majority of the people sitting there were expert on the level of the law. The SPD kind of shaped it like this. So it was like a big debate about the possibilities. For example, they checked if it's okay with EU rights. Is it okay? Yes, it's okay. So they checked all this frame, which is good because it may be useful for a lot of work. What we are missing is that it's a more concrete tangible possibility. And also what they didn't do, which is a pity, and it's a shame also, they didn't get access from of the information on what is called the Kataster. So what is the Kataster? It's the register of who has the property of Berlin, because we don't know. Yeah. And only people in the Senate can know that. And there's a problem with the society, because they have daughters, societies, it's like Vonovia, but maybe Vonovia, there is a part that is called My Mother and Co. Yeah. Exactly, and it still belongs to that, but I don't know. Yeah. So all this kind of information, we really need them, and we don't have them. And the commission should have had them, but probably the SPD in the Senate blocked that. So that's a pity, because I see that the commission was not needed because we had already enough. What is needed is a law, and the government should have done it already in October 21. They should do it now. And to do so, they need more information, and they should have used the commission to just like do all the work that is needed. But they did great work in establish the frame of it, like the possibility of it, and just like how do you say, confirm what we wanted to say. And I remember now that I was talking about this, what they proposed. CDU and SPD, they proposed this Vergesellschaftung-Rahmengesetz, this framework. They say that they want to do a law that it's for Vergesellschaftung for other things, not only for Immobilien, also for Energiekonzernen and other stuff, but they want to do it in 2 years. So, and they are in charge for 3 years only, so it doesn't really look that they're really gonna do this, but that's probably what they're gonna. I think now after the summer break, they will come at us with some contra argument saying that the commission was too leftist because it was done from Green and left and SPD, which is still the SPD doing, yes, and all this kind of stuff. But I think it's good that like there are enough arguments inside that they say no, you just have to do that. And
well, here also, I have a separate commission of just freaks from the AFD and FDP, so I would prefer their opinion.
Exactly.
No, I mean, like, it is like the interpretation. I mean, that's actually really interesting and cool that because I think that we've talked about this in or maybe just conversations I've had with privately with people.
Sure.
It's
hard to tell.
Like the like things that then should be like public goods, housing, energy, public transportation, this and that. That Germany has like a really big problem of just like housing is completely different because it's entirely just privatized. But like Germany loves doing this thing where it is like a massive public-private partnership. Like Deutsche Bahn is the biggest, worst example of something that then's like it's technically not either. It is a private company that then is only held by the German government as the only stockholder. What is preventing something
that
like?
Seems like a weird.
It's stupid. It is so dumb, and it's still profit. Like they still are allowed to make profit, even though Deutsche Bahn is literally a monopoly that is controlled. It's beyond dumb.
Yeah.
Power is another one that then is another thing that you have like Stadtwerk in certain cities, and Berlin doesn't really have one. It just is automatically you get given like Vattenfall, which is a private company, but then it's owned by the city of Berlin or something like that.
It's a Swedish company.
Yeah.
Very tippy top.
Yeah. It's very, very, very weird. So what is then like, because the current government right now is a conservative-led CDU government. What is then the like reality possible? Like do we know what this is actually going to look like? Is there a possibility that it's just going to end up looking something silly like that, like one of these weird privately held public entity things like BVG is, for example, or Deutsche Bahn? Or is there like actually then is the like Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen commission or like group, are they involved within the process as well too of like how to proceed further? Because now it just seems like it's in the hands of the government, and the expert commission came forward and said this is all possible and gave a lot of very good examples. I mean, I would love to have all these things removed from market forces because they are public goods. However, we're also dealing with a government that then wants to privatize literally everything underneath the sun, and an SPD under Giffey who was also very stoked about privatizing everything under the sun, and Giffey herself being extremely against Enteignen.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what is the proposition then of like how does they go from here then?
Yeah, like I think we have two perspectives. Like for their perspective, in like what do they want to do with this kind of this Rahmengesetz? They want to say yes, we want to take care of socialization, but we want to do one law for everything, which is very problematic because you can't have the same law to expropriate landlords and to expropriate Energiekonzerne because they are different. So just proposing to make everything in one is also
5,000 solar panels.
Exactly.
3,000 solar panels.
I mean, okay, but like the expertise that you need, also the legal expertise is very different. So what it is for them, it's just like blah, blah, blah. Just very honestly, I think they are saying, we're going to take care of this. We're going to propose this framework. We want to make it bigger to just avoid what we have to do, which is expropriate landlords. So that's what they will stay probably in the next 2 years in their rhetoric and say, no, we want to do it, but one for all. And it's very fragile what they want to do because, exactly as said before, Article 15 is already enough to guarantee the framework of this, and the rest of the law are there. So that's it. That's the thing. What it looks like for our process is that we will, like, while we were doing the expert commission, what we were doing in the last year was like going for designing how this will look like our Anstalt öffentliche Recht, which is an institution of public good or a public law, kind of this.
Yeah.
We all forgot already.
Well, it's like, just call it in German, AER. That sounds very good. No, because it's about also shaping concretely what is going to be. So if you think about all these big landlords, we're going to think about 200, like we have kind of 250,000 apartments that will then be shared and administered from this institution. What we propose is something like the BVG, but not profit-oriented, so that the property stays from the Senate, but the administration is only one partial from the Senate. We have then delegates from the tenants' councils, and then we have workers that work there, and we kind of imagine all the people who works now for Adler, Vonovia, Deutsche Wohnen, to offer them to stay in this and keep on working in the administration of this, but also try to build more participation in this process, because a lot of the properties are also like in the, I wouldn't call it periphery, because it's like, Berlin is a little bit different with center and periphery and stuff, but a lot of these Siedlungen are also, for example, Gropiusstadt, which is like South Neukölln, which is was like one of these 70s probably architecture. Let's build new cities, and actually at the end, then they become a little bit of a space, a little bit close, where maybe people don't have a lot of quality of life in there, but still, also there is a lot of initiatives and stuff, but there could be more in there, and we need to swift the principle to say, okay, I live here. I am allowed to say what I think. I'm just not only here to be an object of this intervention, like your house keeper, like of these things that, like this, and try to build also, like with this process, also like a more participation in the city, because that's also what we want. We want to stay in Berlin, and we want Berlin to look like us and not to look like the bad dreams of a CDU person, and which is still problematic at the moment, because with this all the bicycle lane, all these things that are happening. This is really like the wet dreams of a conservative people, but from the 90s, like Autobahn and no bikes and this kind of things. And I don't believe that the people in Berlin really like this. I hope that they don't, but still they voted that. And again, in comparison with the FDP and stuff, it looked to me that between like a poshy neoliberal and the real, they choose the real one. Like they choose the CDU, which is racist, probably not probably, which is racist.
It was the fireworks thing.
So, and it's like kind of, okay, Berlin, what's happening to us? I hope we wake up soon from
the
this
problem
thing.
with the recent elections too is that then what, like, okay, first off, a topic that we'll get to as well, that hasn't come up yet quite, with that Berlin, a quarter of the population here can't vote.
Yes.
So 20, I think it's
22%
of the
23,
cannot. So people like everyone in this room cannot vote in Berlin elections unless one of us has magically become a German citizen recently. Congratulations to if you.
I get it in 2 years.
Oh, I could apply for it now.
I have an anchor baby.
I don't.
My boyfriend could, because his dad is German, but he doesn't want to.
Oh,
and
boo!
He could get it then if I married him.
That's right, baby.
Can I get it? Yes.
Yeah,
right?
but you have to then go through a whole process. It's not just like given to it.
The
exam's
you have no
easy.
exam if you're married. You have only 3 years after you're married, and you'd have no exam.
To prove that
You still need to pay some money. Yeah.
But so the first thing being that then, of course, a large portion of the population, like 100% of this room, cannot vote in the city that then.
Hang on. I can vote in EU elections.
We all again also
very influential.
100%
and
of this
BVV
room.
level, you can do the communal level.
Exactly. All right, we can all vote.
Thank
in,
you.
In the
I love the really local elections, because I saw that in the last elections. Like, hey, 23 people in your neighborhood voted Die Linke. I was like, I'm one of them.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm one of those people.
I
Only
voted.
23?
It's a very green, popular
Ooh,
neighborhood. Yeah.
also, like, it's the Bundeswahlversammlung.
Oh, I bet mine is like...
Well,
Oh,
yeah, I mean,
Bezirks,
hey, let's don't just only boo on them. They are important.
No,
If
no,
they
of
could have
course.
more power,
Yeah.
there is something important when we're talking about Wohnungen and all this stuff. They could still be in charge. Like when there was the Vorkaufsrecht, which is like the right to buy a house before it goes on the market, the Bezirk will be the one in charge and say, I buy it. This law is no longer active, so
I wasn't booing the
lost that.
elections.
yeah.
I was booing the Greens.
But the
We still need them. We love you, Greens.
we love that you put those stickers that you supported Enteignen, a week after you put up all your posters. They just slapped that sticker on. I'm very curious about the local politics because, like, okay, so obviously the big red flag is the FDP, who would just be would be against this out of some sort of weird.
What if like houses
Principle.
were like Bitcoin?
Yeah, what if that? What if we put your apartment on the blockchain shit? Yeah. They're gone, thank Christ, at least for now. The CDU is always very strange when it comes to these things because compared to a lot of our listeners are in the English-speaking world, and compared to like the conventional right of the English-speaking world who kind of go on this tirade of defund everything, do not like austerity everywhere. The German center right still kind of like believes in infrastructure in a way that like the Republican Party doesn't. Or the Tories in the UK definitely don't.
Yeah.
No, yeah, they'll let the whole country fall apart for profit, but like the CDU is like, yeah, of course we need trains. What's going to bring the Volkswagen cars to like the ports in the Netherlands? We need to get the cars that I'm making all the money from to the ports.
How am I gonna drive my brand new Porsche Cayenne through the former bike lanes in Berlin if they can't be delivered?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, like they've definitely benefited from this, like, unlike Sebastian Chai's attempt to turn the Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen thing into a culture war, the CDU and AfD have successfully turned the like pedestrianization of Friedrichstraße into a culture war and convinced people who live in like the outskirts of Spandau that their neighborhood was going to get pedestrianized in like parts of Berlin where you probably do need a car for some things, but no, the Greens are going to impose like what's it Ulf Polscher called, like grüne dictatorship or whatever, like green dictatorship. Yeah, and they're
Ulf
going to
Polscher always on it with the.
He loves his words.
I'm about to say the one-liner zingers in German, but a lot of times they're just compound words.
Hey, they're great compound words. Woko Haram,
That's a good one though.
Klimakleber, we love those.
Klimakleber is also a good one. Yeah, that's the thing is that then I got to give him props where although he is a piece of shit.
He writes like 2 paragraphs a week, but in those paragraphs,
It's everything.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
there's some good compound words. I'm learning German from Ulf Polscher. That's a terrible vibe. No, but like I could totally imagine the CDU kind of being like, yeah, we'll do in the kind of like social democratic way of like, we're reaching some sort of crisis. This is something we need to do because cost of living is getting insane. But they'll do some sort of thing like where you don't save any money on your rent, you just get like a discount on buying a Volkswagen. Instead, like the difference in your rent can go towards a car. And now everyone who lives in Mitte has to buy a car, even though you do not need one.
You can park it on Friedrichstraße.
You can park it on free. It's all parking spaces now. It's not even a road. It's just parking spaces.
Well,
How you get to the parking spaces and back out, who knows? It's just parking spaces.
Oh, what if, when people literally make the joke to Americans of what if, like, what if a burger or, whatever, but for the CDU is,
What if a car?
what if your car was, like, what if just a parking space? What
I
if Berlin was just a big parking lot?
'Cause, like,
what if Berlin was the U.S., actually? Think of
I
that.
was gonna say, yeah, like those pictures of like a stadium in the U.S. and the
Just like-
parking lot is like bigger than the actual stadium.
Well,
It's like it's gonna be
how are you going to park your Ford F-150 Raptor when you're going to go see the Kansas City Chiefs play against another team that has a slightly racist name?
and it's going to be so weird because it's going to be like the neo-Nazi right is going to have such like a crisis of confidence because they won't be able to find Hitler's grave anymore because everywhere's a parking lot now. I'm trying to find it.
Yo, what if you could like turn your apartment though into a parking space as well? Like you could like rent it out so someone
23 square meters.
Yeah.
It's
I
fit a car.
could fit a couple cars in there, right? Like
maybe only one.
Yeah. 33 square meters. I could fit 2 cars in there.
You can fit 2 cars. Great.
The auto industry is in like all German industry is in like a really fucking shit situation because it turns out we were very reliant on cheap Russian gas. But now they're just going to be like this campaign of like, buy a car. I don't care what you do with it. Never use it. I don't care. Buy the car. Just park in Friedrichstrasse. Keep it in your apartment. Live in it. I don't care. Buy the car.
God, the live in it one is the scariest one.
Yeah, because, absolutely. But like it's going to be like Ready Player One, where it's just stacks of cars on top of each other that everyone just lives in.
Anyway, yes. Back to then the sense of
now hold on. Berlin Autofrei, it's also a campaign.
Yeah.
Please check it out.
Oh no, they're dead.
They'll need.
They unfortunately.
They'll need a second. At some point, they will have a second phase.
Please. Actually, that's Kai Wegner's plan. We're going to pass Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen, but I get to personally kill the heads of Berlin Autofrei.
Well, we love you, Berlin
Autofrei. In like a public execution.
Yeah, he put a fatwa out against.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh goodness. Yes. So, as in the sense of what we were getting to earlier, of that, then we have a city where then the majority of people can't vote. We have a government that then also was primarily voted for by what I think was mostly old people. The
turnout was so low.
The turnout was incredibly low, and the only people who go and vote when the turnout's very low are old people, and old people in Germany vote for the CDU.
It's the default party.
Yeah.
Actually, all absentee ballots just turn to CDU. That's how German elections work.
Probably, for all we know. One part of me I feel that it's just like the CDU is just throwing. I mean, with the bike lanes thing. Yeah. They're just doing as much damage as they can because they know that they'll probably never win in another local election again.
Yeah,
but
the things they're doing to Neukölln.
This is one where exactly, or all the austerity in Neukölln, which is like so
it's political
horrible.
vandalism.
Yeah. But this is one where they can't really do that now, is it? Or am I just being naive, thinking that then the CDU won't also just blow up this proposal as well? I'll be like, okay, well, yeah, the commission said this, but we're going to get a new commission, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that. Like, we're still kind of like, I mean, it's very nice going back to the sense that then that the commission said, great, good, this is possible. We don't know what this government's going to, like, I literally have a theory that I think that the CDU is just going to use it for quantitative easing because the market is like getting destroyed, that they're just going to like expropriate and then just like sell it slowly back to the landlords because they are the landlord party. However, that you can't do quantitative easing in 3 years, which is at least the only like thing that is good about it, is that it has to be a 20-year process. Yeah, like where, like what are then the propositions that then that whether it be Deutsche Wohnen Enteignen or other organizations that then have of kind of pushing this to then actually like, okay, like let's get the ball rolling. Like they said, let's go. So when they're back from vacation, as Kieran said, they might be in the longest vacation that they're allowed to do.
Kicking that can down the road.
What are we like? How is the CDU, a conservative-led government, going to be pushed into actually, expropriating their friends?
Very good question. From pressure, like what I said before, like, okay, I don't see it super realistic that they do that because that it's against what they believe in, and they also still keep answering that new buildings are the solution, which is not. The commission also said Neubau is not enough, and it's also not a sustainable thing. They will still keep with their arguments, and they will also say what they will do, probably, just like trying to go in the part of the enemy. They will also try to, because it's going down, the immobilian market is going down, probably Vonovia and company will start selling things. Yeah. And because it doesn't look so good, it's not likely that other companies will buy them, but it's likely that the state will buy that, with this what is called rekommunalisierung. So what is absurd is that the Senate will say, I'm doing this, I buy them back, I don't need to expropriate them. And of course it's not the same, because is economically stupid to buy something back when you can expropriate, because expropriate is under the market level.
Yeah.
Buying back is probably in the market better. And also, there is like a documentary which is called Start Wearing Purple that's about our campaign. And in the documentary, there's an interview of a lawyer of Deutsche Wohnen or Vonovia, one of them, saying that it's economically very, like, if imagine you are Vonovia and you need to sell some apartment, you're not going to sell your tip-top stuff, you're going to sell the Schrott.
My house.
Exactly. Sorry for that. But you're going to sell something that is it's like, I'm still, as a business company, I will sell what is convenient for me to sell. So the Senate is probably buying back things that they need to pay a lot to renovate, and will sell us this action as we are doing this. We are taking care of the crisis of housing, which is not a crisis in a certain way. It's a plan, long time plan that is working like this. So that's what they will do. And what I want to see now is really like saying, hey, SPD, you had a Parteibeschluss, you are in the government, what you going to do? And I don't know how many people of the SPD are listening to this, but I hope a lot. It's like, how can you put pressure on your party to do what you say you're gonna do? So that's a chance. And at the same time, it's like, okay, how can we from outside augment, like make the pressure bigger? What shall we do? And this is probably something that in our campaign and in our movement kind of is still on debate. How can we do that? And how can we also involve more people into acting on this? Because there's also like a little bit, just to be very, very honest, I'm a super optimistic, and I know that this will going to happen, and this is going to happen, and because I have a lot of power. But I believe that it's very intelligent. I believe we are enough, and I believe that the campaign is a very good campaign, and we have a lot of people, more to come. We have creative ideas. We have a cheerleading team. We also have a song. I can give it to you. Let's play it. And it feels like the city is getting ready to Enteignen, and I love this getting ready because it's the present continuous. I hope that one day, like, this present continuous will be a reality, still stay in a present continuous. And at the same time, it's about how can we still exactly like become more people and act on it. And also like going into to the Mieterverein, just shout out to the Mieterverein. Like for us, especially for people who are kind of came to Berlin later, it's like, maybe I'm going to now to talk about voting rights, but it's like about, first of all, it's like understanding ourselves as tenants and that we have rights for that. It's not about, it looks like when you come to Berlin that you need to go through this jungle. It's the 7 level of exhaustion that you need to go through in order to get a house. And when you have a house, you have the problems that you have. And it's like other 7 level of disgrace. I don't know how to call that. And that's not right, and we can do something against that, and we can fight a little bit with this. There's a lot of people that are going to be evicted from the Wohnungen. It's like kind of, okay, check your neighbors, check your friends, check your family, ask them how they do and support each other, build communities. It's not only about expropriation, it's also about taking care and a little bit taking ownership of our life and our situation. And sometimes defending your whole house really, really works. There are a lot of cases where people organize and win. So it's possible to win. We're also going to be winning. So yes, I'm a little bit lost now in what I'm saying, but I'm saying just like
it's you definitely.
People, let's stick together, let's support each other, let's care about each other, because also like this campaign is what it is because there were 10 years of fights before. Like we wouldn't be nowhere if there was not Coty and Co. We were fighting. Yeah. They were fighting for their things, and all these little like neighborhood initiatives that said, okay, no, we're not gonna be sold at Vonovia, at Achelius, or dear Achelius, you don't play with us. We're gonna fight against that. And chances are that people really won, and if even they don't, they still build a community that support them through life in this city. That is hard. And this is hard. Now I'm going to go to voting rights, especially for people who are not German. And it's important that we understand that we can organize each other. And then there is a lot of people like us struggling with that. And it is not like, I felt a long time asking permission to exist in this city because I had to fit in. And as tenants, in a certain way, we don't have rights as citizenship because we have partial rights. But as tenants, we have full rights. We are tenants if we have a contract. There is also a lot of conditions where you don't have a contract. another time we talk about Anmeldung. What the fuck is the Anmeldung? Why do we need to have that? And how crazy it is that we need to be registered somewhere and live in another, like the precarity of life, especially for migrant people, is a lot. And where these things come together, like being a migrant and being a tenant, it's a condition of, it's a precarious life, but also it's a lot of people. And what I want also is like from what I like, it's still very sad to don't have the rights to vote and still do a campaign that it's about it's about the referendum. So it was like collecting signatures, and my signature was not valid, and a lot of other signatures are not valid, and this is a shame. And what we need is like German people to be more aware of this, and then everybody to make this a priority. And it's not easy, because even in our campaign it took time to establish that as a request. Say, hey, we are taking democratic means, but 23% of the people in Berlin, it's like 600,000 people.
Yeah.
It's so much. It's a village. It's 1,000 village. It's a lot. How can they live and dream in the night saying that there's so many people can vote for them? Die Linke, die Grüne, die SPD. Come on, people. Just change the law. Just make voting rights. And the FDP had the power last time to join to join the government and change the law, and they said no, we're gonna wait for the election later. Now they don't exist. So
womp womp, that's what you
boo,
get for
FDP, fuck you.
Yeah, I mean there is especially like in like there's a lot to unpack there. The first thing is that the people who like think that you need to like walk through the 7 layers of hell to then exist in Berlin can all go fuck themselves, because that should not be like.
Normal.
I've lived here for 10 years, and I think I've lived in 10 different apartments.
That's about right.
Like, that's not normal, and I'm going to be probably moving again soon because hooray. Actually, to be very fair, for it for a good reason, but nonetheless, like, I'm tired. Like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
I'm exhausted of shitty landlords. I'm exhausted of like. I'm sorry. The landlords that I've had have been some of the dumbest people I've ever met in my life. Just like complete idiots. One landlord tried to blackmail me through email. Yeah, like genius. All right, this guy. All right, I'm just going to name him at this point because I'm not. There's. I don't live there anymore. Alexander Skora, which I know that friends of mine have taken him to court before, and he never shows up. And he bleeds money. He bleeds money. He tried to buy Air Berlin. This man is not a smart man.
Was this the one who did the political party?
Yes, Berlin Brains.
Yeah, Berlin
baby.
Brains.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
absolute idiot.
Don't you want to vote for Berlin Brains?
Yeah.
Stop listening to the podcast right now.
Yeah, he's a
like a
Randian
zombie.
he's a Randian objectivist, and he's just an absolute freak. Owns a bunch of these really ugly orange colored buildings throughout Berlin. You've seen them. Yes, those are his buildings. Yeah. He
Did
tried
he just paint them orange after he buys
he buys them, paints them orange, then never does anything in the interior, and then he tried to blackmail me.
What a fucking dumbass.
Yeah, and then I called him on the phone, and then he got scared. He's like, "Oh, I had COVID for 3 months. That's why you didn't get a contract." And I'm like, "What?" And then he hung up on me. So then I was like, "All right, going to the Mietverein." Which again, if you live in the city and you're not part of the Berliner Mietverein, or like I think there's like 2 of them, but the better one is the one with the circle in the middle or whatever.
Yeah.
Join them. Again. I have also brought friends and whatnot to like pressure them into joining, and everyone has said the same thing: is that then it is a very good decision that they've whether it be that then like you have no problems, or like me that you're constantly having to find legal help against your landlord. The $9 a month goes a long way. They're very friendly, and they really really see you through A through B.
Yeah, and they also do they have different languages. There's a voluntary service, like it's a lot of voluntary people. Yeah. Most of them are pretty old people doing something with the law, but they have experience. So
they definitely do all the languages of Berlin. They certainly do English.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Listening to this,
and I remember, just whether friends or whatever have all had good experiences with joining it, and at the end of the day, you have a lot more rights than you think that you do. And when, I've had so many people be like, "Oh, like I'm being evicted in 2 weeks." No, you're not. You don't have to be, there are, but no one has the confidence to go and do anything about it because it's such a scary situation.
Yes.
Speaking of similar things, one of the reasons correct me if I'm wrong, one of the reasons what was the one in Berlin? It was the Mietendeckel was overturned was because there's a federal law called the Mietbremse, the rent brake. And the rent brake, if applied correctly, can reduce your rent by quite a bit. Chances are your rent in Berlin is illegally high, but there is no consequences for advertising that until someone complains and say like, hey, Mietbremse, whatever. And the really fucked thing that I learned recently is illegally high rents also count.
Oh, you mean the Mietspiegel?
No, Mietpreisbremsen.
Mietpreisbremsen. Because you can also...
There is also a website you can check your Mietpreisbremsen. You get your contract, you have all your information, when is the building, in which year was the building built, square meter and stuff, and then you can get an idea. Or go to the Mieterverein and let them help check you this.
Yeah. But you're probably paying too much for your rent as well, too. So.
Yeah, I implore everyone to check. I know the website you're talking about. I got like $300 per month reduced. And the fucked thing that I learned is that your illegally high rent price is actually reflected in the Mietenspiegel. Yeah. So like the rent mirror, which is then used to decide how much rent can go up in a neighborhood by a percentage, is reflecting the illegally high prices unless you contest them. So now, like, if you're scared your landlord is going to do shit because you do like Mietbremse, one, they can't, and two, it's negatively affecting your neighbors. So do it.
Yeah, you can only be a victim. Like the thing that then at the end of the day, the multiple times I've dealt with the Mieterverein of then either mostly faulty evictions is what it is half the time. It's really hard to evict someone out of a place, actually, when you like really try to like break it down. I mean, there are ways that then landlords are successful with it, but a good portion, if you go to the Mieterverein and you then explain the scenario, they are very good about telling you either one, that's illegal, and they will help you then figure the thing out, or in the very odd case that then like with me, where they were just like, just leave. Like, it is more beneficial for you to just get the hell out of there than deal with an absolute psychopath. Then what we're saying is that
or the list is like kind of you can take more time to get the eviction. Like if you have an eviction, probably this is common. I hope it's not coming from nobody of you, but it's like this Eigenbedarf thing, which is like a property. People who has the property said that they
want to use it for themselves.
They need it for themselves, but themselves means also the daughter-in-law, and all the family. And it also, they are only, as if I'm not wrong, they also need to have it for 3 months and then they can sublet it. So Eigenbedarf, it's a thing and it's a problem. It's gonna things, but you can still. I mean, don't worry. Go to someone and just like at least you can stay in your apartment for longer. Yeah. You don't have to leave now. And it's like, these are all this information that especially like in generally scares people, but especially if you don't feel like you belong in here, probably that scares you the shit out of you more than for other people. So go to your friends, talk to people, go to the Mieterverein.
Yeah. And there's just also like one thing too that I wanted to add on as well, is that you mentioned in the sense of that then the suggestion from DWE is to have these organized like tenant Räte and whatnot, or like councils, and like it sounds at its core like, oh, that sounds like utopian and this and that and that, whatever. However, like to like put it into perspective is that then like one, the organization for all these things mostly already still exists. Like the infrastructure for this organizational stuff exists within your building or whatever already. Second, something I've also noticed in Berlin, more so at least than in anywhere in the United States, is that then like neighborhoods are very well organized here. There is a lot of, I mean, you mentioned Deutsche Wohnen Co as being a really good one. A lot of like Kieze or like little like neighborhoods actually are very active of trying to preserve certain things. There's one happening in my neighborhood of Sprengelhaus in Wedding that they're trying to like, do an action to keep, this community center more or less open. And it really isn't actually anything far-fetched to presume that then that, your housing could then be organized democratically. I mean, I know that we're going back a little bit. That was just something that then has been kind of going in my head, is that then it's like, it does come off like utopian in some regards, but in reality, it's like your apartment's already organized actually kind of in this way. If you would have say in it, would you not participate more in it? I know that I would, at least, in the sense of me just being, just a nosy jerk who, wants to make sure that I'm not getting fucked over. Yeah. And that then I also want to make sure that then that the people that then I mean, because like the apartments in my house are shit. The front of it's really nice because those are where all the big houses are. But the Hinta house, where I live, are all garbage, and the people who mostly live in there are migrants. Yeah. Not like, I mean, there is a clear class difference as well too of who then gets the nice apartments in Berlin and who gets the shitty ones.
Oh, I definitely got my apartment because they were like, this guy doesn't speak German, he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah. And there is, but like, also then having the chance to provide some sense of organization on that level, like you mentioned, you may not be getting a right to vote, but your apartment is something that you're legally paying rent in, and your name is on a contract, hopefully. I mean, if it isn't, I also understand that happens. But it's something that you do have connection with on a daily basis. You sometimes, I would hope that then you at least know kind of your neighbors, maybe one or two people. And like before you, like, I mean, I could imagine people listening to the episode being like, oh, that's just a silly way of like, that's just utopian. And it's like, no, like you know the people in your house. Like this isn't like a ridiculous thing. And I know for a fact that then it's like, yeah, I can't vote, but I know that if I complain to my landlord, they're going to at least pretend to listen to me, like, I don't know. It really is like something that then, I'm all in favor of this type of organization. I would be the worst, maybe not the worst tenant, because I'd be a good tenant, but I could at least see it's a lot easier to get organized and active in things with that than actually like affect your daily life. That's why, I mean, like I won't make fun of the BVV because those are politics that you have a daily connection with, that these are things that then secure your access to things on a very local level. Local elections affect us much more. The Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen vote was a local vote. It was not a national vote. There is this type of politic on your city is probably the most important one of your daily life. Yes, I'm not saying, don't vote, like only vote on your local election and ignore the federal, but we can at least see that politics can be changed radically, at least in theory, on this level. We're not changing the Bundesregierung anytime soon, but, it could at least also then start trends in other fields, or other cities or whatever. Yes, okay, housing expropriation, great. Energy expropriation was also something that then was mentioned. There's also actions for that too in other countries and this and that and that. I know that then I think France has an action for that too, if I'm not mistaken.
Also, immediately after the Deutsche Wohnen Co Enteignen vote passed, the campaign in NRW for their energy company really kicked off. Yeah.
And even Hamburg kicked off.
Yeah.
Like Hamburg, but not like for Immobilienkonzerne. They said, Hamburg
it's infectious and it's good. Like it should be infectious. Yeah.
And it's also very relevant on a global level, like for international folks listening.
To my point earlier that Germany has like a collection of 12 cities that are roughly the same, you're also getting fucked over. It's not just us. If you're in Stuttgart, I'm sure there's fucked up things happening in your cuckoo clock house down there or whatever you live in. It's near the Black Forest. That's all I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, which is more. The thing is that we are also Berlin is also a state, so the Landes level and the state, the city level, like Berlin, Hamburg, Bremen, they have like this. I wouldn't say, this special status that because in Stuttgart then you need to convince the people in Stuttgart, but also the people in all the region that they have different things. So you need to do it. But hey, it's possible. Please, let's expropriate everywhere. It's really time. Yeah. And also, I wanted to add this. Like, I think it's lovely what you said about this utopian thing, because for me, like, I did politics before in Italy, where I come from, and I stopped for a while, and then I moved to Berlin, and of course, I was like trying to do my life in Berlin, and that was the campaign that really brought me into activism because it was pretty concrete. Like, I don't feel I have energy to go again to engage for ism, like in terms of like very. I mean, I'm still a politically active person, but I thought that this campaign really has a plan, it's concrete, has a way how we're gonna get through it. I can do something, and also is like creative in terms of like that. I found it with a friend of mine, with Matteo, the cheerleading squad, which is like, come on, from German politics. I don't know how creative they are, but it's like the demonstration. It's still like a little bit somebody singing, but it's a lot rough and tough, or like just boo. Yeah. And we go and we jump and we smile, and it's like be like positively aggressively kind of, and there was space in the campaign for do that, which is something that I really appreciate, because I also have a sense that I don't know, it's not easy to bring us all together. That's the part of the utopia. And I don't like all my neighbors. Some neighbors.
No, you don't have to, but you at least live in the same house.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But also what the campaign offers is also that we have group of interests like AGs, like mine, Right to the City is the one for people who feel more comfortable in English than in German to do politics, or maybe don't have the right to vote. And this is my group, but also there is a group that works on social media. There is a group for action. There is a group for the law. If you study law, please come join us. We need people with law expertise, but also you can choose the local kids teams. Like we have kids team in every kids, and it's also like if you don't have already like a space, the kids team offers that too. And that's interesting because the kids team were founded to collect signatures, but they are all alive. They do a lot of stuff. They go, they do initiatives, they do networking with other local initiatives. So there's a lot to live in Berlin. Just come join us. You can find all information just spot on the website, dwenteignen.de, on Instagram, on Facebook. We are now in a summer pause, but and if you specifically...
You and the government, my goodness.
Well, I don't have the right to vote, not to be voted into government. Our email is righttothecity@dwenteignen.de. Reach out. We're there. Also on Instagram, righttothecity.berlin.
Excellent. I love when we have a guest and I don't have to ask them what they want to plug. I love when they just do it themselves.
It's
it's like one less thing I have to say. Have I recovered from bringing up chicken sexing yet?
No. Oh, God, I forgot about that. God damn it.
No.
I was like, why am I here? What are we talking about?
Yeah,
it's okay.
I also was wondering too, what did you just make this word
love
up?
that.
Oh yeah, no, I've taught you also. You guys did.
I don't want your rural bullshit. We're talking about
you guys
cities.
I'm so looking forward for more rural bullshit.
Everyone in this room's a fucking city slicker. No one had the class where they taught you the dangers of slurry pits and falling into slurry pits.
Oh, you've shown me these videos.
I've shown you those videos. Yeah, Uma's looking at me again.
Bogs? Are you talking about bogs?
No, I'm not talking about bogs.
It's a slurry pit. Oh, we'll tell you later.
Yeah, well, off mic will tell you what a slurry pit. People from outside of Dublin and Ireland, they know. Right? People in Dublin think this is a made-up thing, but no. One time a video gets rolled into your class and you have to learn about the dangers of slurry pits.
Yeah, and they won't teach you about sex ID. But
no, absolutely not.
They will teach you about slurry pits.
Well, they'll teach you about...
Which kind of sounds like a weird...
They'll teach you about sex in the same way they teach you about slurry pits, which is if you do it, you'll die. Anyway, with that, I do have to bring up, this is Monday, if you're listening to this as it comes out. On Saturday, the 29th of July, we have a live show in Alte Schönhauserstraße 2 in Berlin, in the Selina Hotel.
Selena Gomez Hotel.
The Stop saying that. They will like Selena Gomez Hotel.
It's the Selina Hotel. Yeah. It's not even spelt like Selena and Selena Gomez.
I don't care. I'm gonna make a rap for the Selena Gomez Hotel, just so you know.
We're gonna rap it in front of the audience.
We're gonna launch the change.org petition for it, rename the Selena Hotel Meta into Selena Gomez Hotel. It's at 3 p.m. It is free in, or pay what you want, which is good. Have a fun summertime with us. That'll be nice. I think we've decided on our topic. It's going to be fun and insane.
It's going to be me rapping for an hour and a half.
The first hour and a half long rap.
Yeah, all in Drake voice though, but like Drake talk rap voice where he's like, top floor in the Selena Gomez Hotel. Yeah, girl. Yeah, I just bought you a drink. Or like nothing rhymes either, too. Like how Drake used to do that.
But it's still just being inappropriate to a 16-year-old.
Yeah. And then he'll bust into the
I'll just go to the bar and get my drink.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just walk out of there.
Yeah. I'm at the bar getting himself a drink. Yeah. Toronto City the 6. Yeah. Berliner.
That's another classic Drake
Fernsehturm.
thing. Toronto is the most important city in the world.
That is a classic.
It's the center of culture. It's the new Venice. Anyway, with that, we will catch you on the bonus feed or the live show. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Ciao, thank you.